Some of the best items in Fallout 76 come from the Gleaming Depths raid. The only problem is that if you don't have people to do this raid with, or if you don't have the time to spend hours upon hours grinding the game to create the perfect build, you'll never get any of the rewards from the raid. So in this video, I will be showing you an extremely easy and cheap build that basically anyone can put together to solo the first boss of the raid, which is the EN06 Guardian Boss. This boss can drop a ton of good items like pieces for the Vulcan Power Armor, plans for the mods for that power armor, repair kits, 4-star mods, a unique legendary weapon, and much more. Now I want this to be as simple and straightforward as possible, just to prevent new players from being confused with what I'm showing them. So I'm gonna go over every step of putting this build together, and then I'll show you how to use the build to solo the EN06 boss. So this might be a little bit of a longer video, but it's gonna cover everything that you'll need to know. But before this video starts, if you're a fan of the Fallout games and the Fallout TV show, click the link in the pinned comment of this video to join my Fallout Discord server, where you can find other people to play Fallout 76 with, discuss the Fallout TV show, or just talk about anything related to Fallout. So to start off, let's talk about power armor, because you will absolutely need a set of power armor for this build. You don't need a good set of power armor with perfect 3-star mods, but you need something. But I literally mean you can use any power armor for this build. To prove this, I'm gonna use the Excavator Power Armor, which has lower damage and energy resistances than Raider Power Armor. The reason I'm picking the Excavator Power Armor is because any player can get this power armor in as little as 15 minutes, as long as they have the crafting resources for it, which isn't too much. And one of the mods that we'll want to put on this power armor is very cheap and easy to find. If you don't have the Excavator Power Armor and want to grab it to copy this build, just head over to the Garahan Mining Headquarters location right here on your map. Then go to the parking lot and read this poster to start the Minor Miracles side quest. This side quest will be very short and it will teach you the crafting plans to build your own set of Excavator Power Armor. Now of course, if you want something better, basically everything else is better. You basically just want the power armor for the damage resistances to make yourself tankier, and some of the perk cards for this build will require power armor. But you can use literally any power armor set that you want. In terms of easy to get and free power armors, the T45, T51B, and T60 power armors will work better. Ultrasight in X01 will be above that, and the Hellcat will be the best free option. Now there is an optional power armor torso mod that you might want to help you in this boss fight, and that mod is the medic pump. If you're using the Excavator Power Armor, you can purchase this mod for cheap from the Responders vendor at the White Springs Resort. This mod will make you automatically use a stim pack when you reach or you're below 50% health, which will help you stay alive in the fight. It's not a requirement because you can also just spam stim packs to stay above 50% health, but the medic pump is a little bit of added protection. So just pick a power armor that you want to use for this build and try to get the medic pump mod if you can. The next part of this build is the legendary mods for the power armor. We're gonna keep this part simple. This build works with just one 1-star legendary mod, which is the Troubleshooters mod. This mod will make you take 15% less damage from robots. If you have this mod on every piece of your power armor other than your helmet, that will be a damage reduction of 75%. For new players that don't know how to get this mod, let me explain it. To get the Troubleshooters mod or any other legendary mod, you will need to scrap legendary items that already have that mod on it. For example, I have these Troubleshooters pickaxes. When I scrap them, I will have a small chance to get either a pre-crafted Troubleshooters legendary mod, or I will have a chance to learn how to make Troubleshooters mods. So with that, you have a few options. You can go out and farm legendary enemies to get legendary items that will have the Troubleshooters mod on it, or you can check the vending machines of other players to see if they are selling Troubleshooters mods, or legendary items that have the mod on it. Or you can spend your legendary scrip at the Rusty Pick to try to get Troubleshooters items. If you have played for a while, you may even have the Troubleshooters mod unlocked as a craftable item, so just check the 1-star legendary mod section of the Tinker's Bench. Currently in the Burning Springs update, you'll get a lot of legendary items from headhunts and grunt hunts, so I would suggest farming those to get Troubleshooters items, and then scrap them down for a chance to get the mod or the crafting plan for the mod. And while you're doing that, check nearby player vending machines for more legendary items or pre-crafted Troubleshooters. Also, as a heads up, you'll want one Furious Legendary mod, which we will be using for the weapon for this build, so make sure you're also scrapping down Furious Legendary items as well. In total, you'll need 5 Troubleshooters mods and 1 Furious mod. If you want, you can put more legendary mods onto your power armor to do some extra damage, but for the purpose of this video and this low requirement 1-star solo build, I'm gonna do it with just the 1-star Troubleshooters mod, but feel free to expand on this however you would like. And now for the weapons, which will be one of the hardest parts of this build. For this build, we'll need 2 weapons, one random heavy weapon and one plasma rifle. The heavy weapon can be anything that you want. I usually use either the Holy Fire Flamer or the 50 cal machine gun, because these weapons have higher magazine sizes. The heavy weapon will not be your damage dealing weapon, it will just be used for one of the perk cards, which we'll talk about later. But the plasma rifle will be the damage dealing weapon. To get the plasma rifle, go to the Brotherhood of Steel vendor at the White Spring Mall. He will be selling the plan for the plasma gun for around 1200 caps. Buy this and then go to Camden Park. At Camden Park, talk to vendor bot Chad. He will be selling the plans for the plasma rifle scopes and the flamer barrels. A scope and the flamer barrel is a requirement for this build, so you'll need to buy these. For the flamer barrel, I am using the stabilized flamer barrel. Once you have the plan for the plasma gun scopes, and the stabilized flamer barrel, just read them to learn how to craft them. Then you'll want to make a bunch of the plasma guns and scrap them to learn even more crafting plans for the mods for the plasma gun. Now for the build that you want on the plasma rifle, like I mentioned, you want the Furious Legendary mod on it. This perk will increase your damage by 5% per onslaught stack up to a max of 9 stacks, for 45% extra damage. If you can get your hands on a 2-star Hitman's Legendary mod, that would make this weapon even better, but it's not a requirement. If you have the Prime Capacitor unlocked, then build that, but I don't, so I'm just going to be using the standard one. The flamer barrel is a necessary requirement for this weapon, so build that, add on a stock to increase stability and accuracy, and then you'll need any scope. It doesn't matter which scope, it just has to be a scope and not a sight. And that's the build that you'll need for your plasma rifle. And of course, if you have an Enclave plasma rifle with a scope and flamer barrel, that would be even better, but not everyone will have access to that right away. So we have our Troubleshooters Power Armor, random heavy weapon, and the Furious Scoped Flamer Plasma Rifle. Now it's time to go over the perks that you'll need for this build. When it comes to the perk cards, there's actually a lot of empty space within this build, and you can fill that empty space with whatever you want. But there are some mandatory perk cards that you'll need to get. First, you'll need the Follow-Through Legendary perk card. This will make ranged sneak attacks increase damage done to the target for up to 40% for 10 seconds. Get this perk card and upgrade it as much as you can. Easy Target will increase ranged damage to crippled targets by 75%. Once the boss's shield is down, the boss becomes a crippled target, so use this perk card. Number Cruncher will increase your weapon's damage by 2% per AP cost of the weapon. Tormentor will make you deal 20% more damage per crippled limb that the target has. All robotic enemies are considered to be armored, so the Tank Killer perk will make your weapons ignore 40% of their armor. The boss is literally just a torso, so Center Masochist will make you do 75% more damage. We have a scope on our plasma rifle, so we'll be taking Smart Shot. Our random heavy weapon will be needed for Bullet Shield, which will make you reflect the boss's attack back at the boss when firing your heavy weapon. This will be used to melt the boss's shield, and wearing Power Armor will increase the chance of reflecting the boss's attacks. Again, we're using a plasma rifle, so the Science perk card will increase the amount of damage that it does. Covert Operative will make our ranged attacks do 50% more sneak attack damage. We put Furious on our plasma rifle, so Gorilla Master and Expert will allow us to gain 8 more stacks of Onslaught, which will increase our damage output and make us reload faster. Gunslinger Expert will make us do more weak spot damage per Onslaught stack, and increase the amount of Onslaught stacks that we can have by 3. Born Survivor will make us automatically use a stim pack when we fall below 40% health. If you have the Medic Pump mod, this will give us 2 layers of protection. Ricochet will increase our chances to deflect attacks to melt the boss's shield faster. And Quick Hands will give us an 18% chance to instantly reload our weapon when we run out of ammo. This won't happen every time, but it's very helpful when it does. And those are the main perk cards. You can then add anything else that you may want, like Traveling Pharmacy to reduce the weight of your stim packs, which you'll need a lot of. But as long as you have the main perk cards, you can add in anything else you want, or you can just completely copy the build that you see on screen. Just make sure that you're using max rank versions of these perk cards for the best results. And for consumables, you'll want Super Stim Packs to give you the most efficient healing, and Psycho Tats for the 25% increased damage output and 15% damage resistance. Now let me show you how you're going to use this build to beat the boss. Enter the boss arena and look for this ramp that will be to the left of the button that starts the fight. Hit that button, then run to the ramp, stand right on the edge of the ramp without touching the floor, and crouch. As soon as the boss starts to attack you, fire your heavy weapon at it. Don't just hold the trigger down, as that will make you waste ammo. Instead, stand still while crouching and tap the trigger. This will activate Bullet Shield and reflect the boss's attacks back at it, which will melt the boss's shield. While you're doing this, you need to spam your super stim packs to stay alive. When the boss's shield hits 0, the boss will become crippled and stop fighting back. At this point, use your Psycho Tats, then pull out your plasma rifle, aim down the scope and start to shoot it in the face, while staying crouched. Even though you're in an active fight, this will still count as sneak attacking. Now you'll only get a short period of time that you can attack this boss, and you may not be able to take down the boss in one phase. So once the room starts to heat up, look for one of the big orange doors that has been opened and run into it. This will be a safe room to avoid the wipe mechanic. And then once the door is opened, run back to the ramp and repeat the process of reflecting the attacks while spamming stim packs until the shield is down, then damage the boss. This will at most take you 2 phases. With some improvements to this build and the weapon, you can easily get this down to a 1-phase fight. But this video wasn't for a 1-phase build. It's for an easy, reliable solo build that you can use to farm the first boss over and over, and that's exactly what it does. I hope this build helps you solo the first boss of the Gleaming Depths raid and get some of that raid loot. If you want to see more videos just like this one, subscribe to this channel, and thank you for watching.